Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me is Mark Souza. We are going to be talking about Monday Night Football between the 49ers and the Packers. We're also going to be talking about the Oakland Raiders and what is going on in Oakland, and some other things such as Thielen going for another week with over 100 receiving yards, and other news we would want to discuss that we feel like discussing.
Power rankings today.
Oh, we're doing power rankings today.
Yes, sir.
Fascinating. All right, let's do power rankings today. But first, let's talk about Monday Night Football. The Packers won 33-30 against the 49ers after a final drive by Aaron Rodgers led to a very short field goal by Mason Crosby in the final seconds. What were your thoughts of this game, Mark?
It was a good game, a lot better of a game than I think most people would have expected when the 49ers come in at 1-4 without their quarterback, without their running back, without most of basically their entire team. You're thinking, okay, this is a game where the Packers will just, put it on the Niners a little bit, maybe a blowout game, maybe a game that's over by halftime and whatnot. Packers started off hot, but you know what? The Niners were matching them step for step. It looked like early in that game that maybe Aaron Rodgers in that offense was going to be too much, but give the 49ers credit. They made it a game. In fact, most people probably believe they should have won that game. Wow.
We're winning
it was exciting
the majority of the time.
It was an exciting game. I think everybody who watched that game was pleasantly surprised that it was a very competitive football game.
It was high scoring. It was competitive. It went to the final seconds. If it wasn't for a Richard Sherman questionable illegal contact call, then this game possibly would have went to overtime.
Yeah, I think I think for the casual fan, that was the one blemish of this game is that, 3rd and 15, Rodgers gets sacked, but it's negated by a illegal contact penalty downfield. Sherman definitely pulled on Devontae Adams. He definitely made contact with him, but it was just something so meaningless in the play.
And that happens in every play.
Yeah, and I mean, is it a penalty? Sure. Like, if you're looking at it by the letter of the law, but a lot of officiating.
Is murder illegal? Sure. Was that murder? Sure. But ticky-tacky murder, as an example.
Right.
You see my point there, though?
Yeah. I mean, that sounds a little extreme, but yeah. I mean, sometimes something is a crime in a normal circumstance, but then it's not in a different circumstance, right? So context is key, is what I'm getting at, and. Yeah, for Sherman to be flagged there, it was just a ticky-tack call. Like, yeah, they're justified because it was, quote-unquote, a penalty, but it's just tough to throw the flag there. It's tough for a neutral fan. If you're watching the game and you're like, man, this game's going back and forth. Wow, the Niners got a big stop there. Oh, no, a ticky-tack flag, meaningless flag down the field. Rodgers was already sacked when that flag came out, which a lot of people overlooked, but he was already being taken to the ground. He wasn't looking downfield any further. So, for me, I don't know. That was the one blemish, but overall, great football game, right?
Oh, it was very entertaining to watch, and I think if you're a 49ers fan or part of the organization, you kind of want to lose because you're not going to make the playoffs, or if you make the playoffs, it's going to be a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making the playoffs. Even if they had won last night, I don't think there was any chance because they're playing C.J. Beathard. It's so hard to win in the NFL with your backup quarterback.
The Vikings made the playoffs with Case Keenum.
C.J. Beathard is now 1-12 or 1-13 as an NFL starter.
Is that really his record? He plays.
He won one game last year.
He plays solid. He doesn't like. He's not like Peterman.
Yeah, no, he's definitely not Peterman. I don't think anybody in the NFL is like him.
He's not that bad. I'm sorry, but Peterman's probably the worst quarterback in maybe NFL history.
But at the end of the day, you see why NFL quarterbacks who are in the upper echelon are paid the way they are, because what happened last night? The 49ers dominated that game. Who won the game? The Packers. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers led his team to a game-tying touchdown in the fourth quarter. And then what happens? Yes, his defense gets the ball back for him, but it was his ability to put pressure on the 49ers to make them get first downs, to make them score again. His defense gets him the ball back, and ultimately he leads his team down the field. And you say what you want about the defensive backs for the 49ers on that last drive, giving up the sideline. Rodgers is making those throws. He made that touchdown pass, which is a beautiful throw. He makes plays when it matters. And that's why when the Packers are playing, it doesn't matter what the score is, just like we saw in Detroit last week. Or was it last week? Was it last week?
What? Detroit?
Yeah.
Detroit was last week.
Yeah.
When Mason Crosby went 1 for 5.
Exactly. I couldn't remember if they were on a bye or not. But the last game, of course, even that game, they come back. They were down 24-0 at halftime, and the Packers come back because they had Aaron Rodgers.
Add 4 of those field goals that Mason Crosby missed, and they win the game.
And it's because of Aaron Rodgers and his magic that he has, and that's why he is paid the way that he is. That's why he's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. And again, last night, people will say, oh, it was the 49ers. It doesn't matter. If you're down by 7 in the fourth quarter, the opponent doesn't matter.
The 49ers were playing well. But I need to ask you, the last 2 quarterbacks the Green Bay Packers have had, like as their starting quarterback, their franchise quarterback,
Favre and Rodgers,
2 of the arguably the best quarterbacks in NFL history, are up there as one of the all-time greats. They only have 2 Super Bowl wins up together. One in 97 and one in 2010. How can you let that happen?
Well, it might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Favre was probably a tad overrated in his career. Not that he wasn't great, because he was.
What's your Twitter again?
At Mark Hella Gets It.
Yeah, he's going to get it all right.
So Packer fans, I'm sure I'll get it from y'all, but no, I mean, look, Favre is a great quarterback. I think we can agree on that. But would you agree with me that he is slightly overrated?
He has cost his team some games, I will say that.
Would you say that Favre is a top 10 quarterback of all time?
He's in like 9 or 10.
I'm not so sure, man.
If anything, I said. All right, name your top 10. Go.
This is totally.
Go.
We didn't even talk about this before the show.
Just not ranking.
Montana, Elway,
2,
Marino,
3,
Brady,
4,
Manning,
5. This isn't any particular order.
And that was Peyton, by the way, not Eli, in case you were wondering.
I wasn't even considering Eli.
Unitas.
Okay.
Hold on.
Jim Kelly?
Possibly.
How do you say possibly?
He never won.
He went to 4 straight Super Bowls.
Kurt Warner?
Okay.
He's in there.
At the end with Favre.
I don't know, man. It's tough to...
Yeah.
It's a tough conversation. I'm not saying he's not top 10, but I would be hard-pressed to put him in my top 10. And we can break this down further once I'm not on the spot. But the fact is that I don't think he was as good as people say he was. He had the ability to lead comebacks and to be a slinger, and he's one of those people. He's kind of like Joe Namath, in my opinion, where like his legacy, like people remember him so much better than his actual
career.
Joe
Namath was not that good of a quarterback.
Right. What I'm saying is Favre and Namath are similar in the fact that people remember them better than their actual career was. Like when you break down the numbers, like, yeah, Favre had a great career, but like 1 Super Bowl, he has the interception record. You know what I mean? Like there's there's blemishes there that people don't think of.
But Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a lot of those blemishes, and still he only won 1 Super Bowl.
I think it's coaching for the Packers. I don't think Mike McCarthy is a very good NFL head coach, but that's just my opinion. I just don't think that you can have a guy like Rodgers for this long and only get there once.
Okay.
What do you think?
I see what you're saying. No, I agree with you.
It's not Aaron Rodgers' fault.
They did go 15-1 in 2011 and didn't even make it to the NFC Championship. They made it to multiple NFC title games like Brett Favre has in the past, but again, they have not gone over.
I have a question for you.
Go for it.
Now that I kind of laid it on the table of how I feel about Mike McCarthy.
Lay it on.
If the Packers don't make the playoffs, is Mike McCarthy fired? Because we've talked about this.
Yes.
Remember when we did our Coach's Hot Seat segment?
He was on yours.
He was, absolutely. You know why?
Why?
Because of what you said. So stay with me here.
Okay, I'm
So what you said, the Packers haven't won enough Super Bowls with Aaron Rodgers. We can agree on that, right?
Yes.
Number 2, what normally happens before a head coach gets fired? He normally changes the other staff around him. The Packers have almost a brand new coaching staff around Mike McCarthy, which usually signals to the head coach, hey, you need to change some things, or we need to change you. So if the Packers have a losing season, or let's just say a winning season, but they don't make the playoffs, I think he's gone.
Just like that.
I think he'd be gone. And I think there'd be a guy named John Gruden out in Oakland that'd be wishing that he waited 1 year more to come back.
You think you'd rather go? He would rather be. I think.
Are you kidding me?
Oakland's a soft spot for him, though.
Yeah, but he started his coaching career in Green Bay.
He would not have gotten a 10-year, $10 million contract.
You're right.
No way.
You're probably right. But would it have taken that much money for him to go coach Aaron Rodgers? Probably not at the same time, right? Because that's super attractive where they can get any coach. The one problem that the Raiders have is that not every coach wanted to go there. Not every coach sees Oakland as a destination. A lot of people don't want to.
So you think they got desperate?
I'm not saying that they got desperate, but it made sense for them to offer Gruden that much money because of the nostalgia factor, the factor of them moving to Vegas, where they need to sell some tickets, they need to sell some box seats, and John Gruden is a name that people can latch onto. He's a guy that when team officials are presenting, they can say, "Oh, look at our coach! It's the great John Gruden." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But for the Packers, I mean, I'm not saying that they would even consider John Gruden or not, but if that's a job that's available and you want to come back into coaching, what if you're a guy like...
Did he want to come back into coaching, or did the Raiders convince him to go back into coaching?
Exactly. Well, $100 million will do a lot of convincing, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I'll take it. Heartbeat.
He was the highest paid employee at ESPN, and then he got $100 million by the Raiders.
More money. He was paid like $6 million a year. Now he's paid
6 or 7, yeah.
So a $4 million raise, yeah, I take it.
So, are the Packers good enough to win the division or make the playoffs this year? From what you saw last night and what you've seen from them throughout the first 6 weeks of the season, are they a serious threat to win the division or make the playoffs?
Maybe a wild card.
What would you put their percentage at if you had to give them a percentage of them making the playoffs? Not the division, just playoffs. Top 6.
Give me like 18%.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable. So, what do you think it is with them? Because Aaron Rodgers is great. They brought in Jimmy Graham. They have Devontae Adams. Sometimes they can run the ball.
That's the big question mark.
What about Rodgers' health? Do you think that he'll be able to withstand more hits and get through this season?
That's a question we cannot answer. We just have to wait and see.
He just doesn't look the same, right? Because he's obviously injured. Like last night when he's getting sacked or when he's running, when he gets up, you can see him kind of wince in pain. It just looks like he's more injured than he's letting on. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, he's banged up. He's hurt, but he's still going to play until he can't.
And then he got his elbow busted up last night. He's just like getting...
I think that's just a scrape. I don't think it's anything serious.
It's still...
It was not his throwing arm either, so it doesn't matter.
It's just another thing for them. Yeah, so I don't know. It's hard. When you look at the Packers, though, what do you think about the rest of the division? You think Minnesota and Chicago are the teams to beat?
I think Chicago has a better chance than the Packers do.
Even after that loss to Miami?
Yeah. Because they've won some convincing games.
Yeah, that defense is good. But they also lost to the Packers, if you remember.
I do. Sure.
For week 1 when they lost to the Packers.
Yeah, that was a close game, though.
Yeah, it was. Cool. Any other thoughts on the Packers or last night's performance by them to come back and win?
Not really.
Okay.
It was a good game all around, and we talked about it. We put into detail about it.
All right, cool. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to give our top 5 and bottom 5 teams in the NFL, our power rankings. So I hope you have those ready.
I have them ready to go.
All right, so we will do that in just a moment.
All right, we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We just finished talking about Monday Night Football. Now we're going to go with our Power 5 worst and best teams. What do you want to start with, best or worst?
Let's go best.
Okay, you start.
Okay. Number 5. So we'll go 5-1. Does that sound good?
Yeah, of course.
Number 5, I have Pittsburgh.
At number 5.
I do.
They're not in my top 5, but okay.
Yeah. Big win for them against the Bengals. I think when they return from their bye week, they'll have Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster with Big Ben, and James Conner still ready and able to split some time with Le'Veon Bell. I don't think their defense is particularly good, but I think their offense is good enough to win any game that they play in, especially in that tough division. So I have a number 5. Who do you have at number 5, Jeff?
I have the San Diego Chargers. Oh, it's Los Angeles Chargers.
Man, I think that you have to do push-ups when you get it wrong like that.
No, that's not fair. Everyone's gonna get it wrong.
It's been too long. You can't say San
Los
Diego.
Angeles.
I think we should have a jar where we put in $1 every time that you say.
Yeah, that's not happening.
All right, then 10 push-ups. Then after the show. All right,
absolutely not. Anyways,
I'm still sore from the push-ups I did yesterday.
Please tell me you're kidding.
No, I'm a little sore.
Oh wow, you need to work out more. Anyways, what was I saying? All right, the Los Angeles Chargers are number 5. Their defense is stellar. I see why now people are saying they're Super Bowl contenders.
So all you got to do is beat the Cleveland Browns, and you get in the power rankings, huh?
Well, we haven't done that in a couple of weeks. They've impressed me for the last couple of weeks.
Keep going. They beat the Niners.
Their defense is stellar. Their offense has really started to click. Melvin Gordon's at the top of his game. Phillip Rivers is doing pretty well, and I see this team making it far in the AFC conference.
Okay, I don't have them in my top 5, so we both have different teams in our top 5 than each other. All right,
okay, continue.
Number 4. I have the New England Patriots.
Okay.
So they win against Kansas City. They've won a few games now where they're looking like the old New England. Definitely still have concerns about their defense for sure. But that offense is looking good. The band's back together with Julian Edelman and Gronkowski together in the lineup. Sony Michel, he's looking like a really good rookie and a running back for years to come for that team. James White, another element. Josh Gordon, another element. I just trust Belichick to have that defense playing at a decent level, enough to always give Tom Brady a chance to win the game. We saw them beat the Chiefs, maybe the best offense in the NFL. They were able to play a high-scoring game and win. It was at home. We will see how they do from here on out, but I got my number 4.
My number 4 is not the Patriots, but the New Orleans Saints.
All right.
Drew Brees is playing at a high level still. Kamara is at the top of his game. Ingram came back and he's playing at a high level. Michael Thomas is probably one of the top 5 receivers in the league. Their defense is playing like
a little bit better.
A better enough for their offense to keep competing in the game and keep winning games.
Not like week 1 where they lost to Tampa
We're
Bay.
not going to think about that. But right now, I think the New Orleans Saints are NFC contenders, and they're my number 4.
Yeah, my number 3 is the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
I had them as my Super Bowl pick before the season. It was a little shaky to start, but
A little. It was leaning tower pizza for a
yeah,
little bit.
the Bucks and Browns games were interesting, but they're back on track. Drew Brees, Kamara, they got Ingram back. That's a big boost. I don't know if you mentioned him, but getting him back was a big boost for
You
that.
never listen to me.
You
That's why this relationship is crumbling.
You mentioned Michael Thomas. He's a great player. Yeah, I mean it's hard to bet against a Drew Brees team, and you know what? If they get a home playoff game, we know how good New Orleans can be at home with those fans. So they're my number 3. Jeff, who is your number 3?
My number 3 is the New England Patriots.
Oh, so we flipped.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything to spoil it, but yeah, New England Patriots are my number 3. Like you said, Sonny Michel is playing extremely well. Tom Brady is still playing at top level. He's got weapons on offense. Their defense is starting to get improving little by little, but this team is still an AFC contender, and there's nothing that will change that.
Yeah, unless they suffer an injury to Brady, really.
Unless Brady spontaneously combusts, I think they're fine.
They're probably fine. Even if that happens, I'm sure Belichick will figure it out. So we're down to the top 2. I think we probably have the same 2 teams. I have the Chiefs at number 2.
I do also. I think we know who our number 1s are.
The Chiefs lost, but I still have them at number 2. I still think that they don't move down in my rankings because they lost to another really good team and they were away. They lost by a field goal. That's just if they play that game in Kansas City, they probably win. If they play the Patriots 10 times, who knows what'll happen, but I can see them winning 5 or 6 of them. So it's Mahomes impressed me. He didn't look like the moment was too big for him. And
he did throw 2 big picks, though.
He threw picks, but he also played well in this, especially in the second half of that game. He came back. He threw that early pick, and I was thinking like, okay, this game could get away from him, but no, the Chiefs battled back. We'll see. It's an Andy Reid team. I know you keep talking about it. I know you keep thinking that Andy Reid and these Chiefs will hit.
I feel like it's still going to happen, but not right now.
You think the clock will strike midnight? I know.
I'll say it's 11:30.
So do you have the Chiefs at number 2?
Yeah.
You want to add anything to that?
You basically nailed all the points I wanted to make.
That defense is a concern, though. That could be the thing that takes them out of the top 5 someday.
Yeah, that's why I think the downhill slope is coming still.
So the number 1.
All right, on 3, we'll say it. 1, 2, 3. The Rams.
The Rams.
Okay, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3.
Chargers.
Rams. Okay, and we're going to use the full name of it, okay? 1, 2, 3.
St. Louis Rams.
Oh, you are just the worst.
St. Louis Rams.
Can I get a new host? Co-host?
All right, so the Los Angeles Rams, they're number 1. What do you see from them?
Nothing, but there's no holes.
Their games, the last couple of games have been really close.
But they had injuries of their secondary, which are coming back soon. But
true,
their offense looks borderline unstoppable. Todd Gurley is at the top of his game, best running back in the league by far. Jared Goff has really improved.
By far?
Oh, yeah. By far, in my opinion. Okay, who's who? Kamara?
I don't know.
Who could be close to him?
Kamara's definitely up there.
Who's number 2? Who's close to him?
Probably Kamara.
Yeah, I still think Gurley's better.
Saquon's good, too.
I still think Gurley's better.
Right, but I don't know about, not even close.
I didn't say not even close. I said by far.
Because that's different.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't say not even close. I said by far. So if you're going to quote me, at least get it right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anyways.
My goodness.
As I was saying, this team looks borderline unstoppable offensively. Defensively, they're getting stronger. Even though they have injuries, they're getting players back. This team's 6-0 for a reason. I don't see them losing. I can see them going 16-0 if I'm going to be completely honest with you.
I don't know about that.
It's possible. They're 6-0. It's possible.
Yeah, but it's so tough in the NFL to go 16-0. I mean,
Only once it's happened, granted, but honestly, if any team can pull it off, it's this team.
It's hard to say that. I don't know. I kind of disagree. I think they'll go like 13-3. They'll lose a couple games, man. I think so.
Not many.
And they're getting banged up. Like Cooks was on a concussion. Kupp has an MCL sprain. They're not. You talked about them getting players back from injury, but they're also losing players. Okay. I think they're a very good team. They're probably the team to beat right now, but I wouldn't say that they're that good. Where they're 16-0 caliber type team. But how about we move on to the fun stuff, Jeff? Where we talk about the bottom 5 teams in the NFL. So 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. I'm going to let you start since I started the top 5. Who is your number 28th ranked team in the NFL right now?
The 49ers.
The 49ers.
They were a little lower on my list before, but since then they've really improved offensively. Every game they played is a competitive 1 or 2 score game max, and they're always competitive in their games. They're not like losing by. There's no blowouts in their games. They're just losing them. But you got what at 1-5. There is problems. Obviously, injuries are a main concern. But bottom line is they're not the worst team in the NFL, but they're probably in line for a top 5 pick.
Yeah, I think they're in line for top 5 pick, but I don't think they're one of the current bottom 5 teams.
That's why they're number 5 for me.
Yeah, they just missed mine. I have Arizona at 28, and I know that they beat the 49ers, but that was Arizona's only win, and I think the Niners beat a better team in Detroit. So I just look at the 2 wins there, and beating Detroit is a better win, in my opinion, than beating the 49ers. So I have the Arizona Cardinals at number 28. I think they're improving. I think they're getting more competitive. But Josh Rosen is a work in progress. The absence of Larry Fitzgerald is just, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see, even with the changing of quarterback, that Fitzgerald will just be useless in this offense.
Okay. To be honest, I do not have the Cardinals on this list. They're number 29, maybe.
So who's your number 29?
You might be shocked by this. The New York Giants.
I'm not shocked. Why would I be shocked?
Because that's pretty high ranked, all things
Yeah,
considered.
you're probably pretty high on them, but
I'm not even that high on them. They're number 4.
Tell me why.
Saquon Barkley keeps them from going on bottom 3. That's all I'm going to say. The rest of the team is not even contributing. Like, it's him versus... When you see him run the ball, he's breaking like 17 different tackles. Like
17 is probably an understatement.
His offensive line is not there. The wide receivers on that team can't catch a ball to save their life. Eli Manning can't throw the ball anymore. Their defense is a
OBJ.
joke. This team is going nowhere fast. There's no future that I see ahead of them. Barkley is their only future, and you need more than a running back to really win games. I'm sorry, but Barkley cannot carry this team.
And with the first pick in the NFL draft,
that's too much weight on a rookie's back.
Justin Herbert, quarterback, Oregon. I see that in the near future for them. You want to know who my 29th team is?
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
Is it...
Arizona's my 28th.
Okay, the Raiders?
No, I'm just going to say it's Buffalo.
Okay.
Now I get it. But they've been playing better. But they won a couple games.
They beat Minnesota.
They will now have Nathan Peterman as their quarterback for probably 2 to 3 weeks. Do you think that they'll win either one of those games? Do you think that they'll win a game with Nathan Peterman? So,
no, I do not.
With that being said, I get it. They have won 2 games. I don't know how, to be quite honest with you. But that offense is going to be even worse than it already is. So I see them probably the next time we do this, probably lower. So they're my 29. Who's your 30th ranked team?
My 30th ranked is the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
For one reason, Nathan Peterman. He's that bad. I could honestly put them at number 32, but I have a spot for number 32. But Nathan Peterman is the worst quarterback I believe I've ever seen.
He has an argument, that's for sure. So who, let's see, that's your 30th ranked team?
Yeah.
My 30th ranked team is the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, you're a little more high on them than I am because you'll find out number 2 at number 31.
The Raiders are terrible. They just came off a terrible loss to Seattle. It sounds like Cooper is on the trade market. They're trying to get rid of him. Sounds like Derek Carr is also on the trade market. I just think that locker room is messed up right now. The talent isn't there. There's a disconnect between John Gruden, the front office, the locker room. When I look at him on the sideline, when I see John Gruden on the sideline, I just see a coach that I'm not sure if he regrets his decision to come back into coaching because he's got the nice paycheck every week to make him remember why he did it. But, man, just a bad situation for Oakland. And I just don't see that getting better. I just think that it's something that the locker room is divided right now. Players getting benched, first-round draft picks getting benched, first-round draft picks put on the trade market. It's just crazy. So they're my 30. So who's your number 31, Jeff?
Well, it's the Oakland Raiders.
All right.
Everything you just said was my point, too. This team does not have any direction. John Gruden looks to be tanking. It looks like he's trying to purposely tank, to be honest. And this team is just, there's no direction, like I said before. This team looks lost on the field. I don't see this team winning for the next 3 to 4 years, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll be tough. They're going to have to tear this thing down. I mean, they already traded Khalil Mack, so we'll see what they can acquire with some of these other players. But, I mean, yeah, they had that young core just a couple years ago. Derek Carr, Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper. Some people were saying that's the best young core in the NFL, and now it's, well, Mack's gone.
Anymore.
Yeah, the best one of the three is gone. The receiver is absent half the time. And the quarterback and the head coach don't seem to be on the same page. So that was your number 31?
Yeah. Who's your number 31?
Mine's the New York Giants.
Okay.
I have them at 31. I just think that a lot like the Raiders situation, I think they're built like a fantasy football team, the New York Giants. Like they have Odell Beckham, Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley. Like those are big names. Those are playmakers. But they forgot the whole thing about you need a quarterback and an offensive line. Like those are very, very
and
critical.
a defense.
Yeah, definitely need a defense, but their offensive line is horrible. They can't protect Eli. Eli can't protect himself as he walks in a sacks, it seems like, every week. And I know a lot of people make a big fuss about the Giants and how they can't protect him, but he also doesn't move in the pocket enough. He's a sitting duck. He doesn't move left or right, like he doesn't avoid sacks like he used to or avoids pressure, so just a bad situation for the Giants. Who's your number 32 ranked football team?
I think we have the same team, but the Indianapolis Colts.
It is mine.
Beyond
Andrew Luck, it might be the worst team in football.
They're inadequate. Frank Wright is just doing awful as head coach. The defense is a joke. The running game's a joke. The passing game is a joke. Without Andrew Luck, this team could be 0-16 for all we know.
Chester Rodgers is their best player, not named Andrew Luck on offense. That says something.
And who is even that?
T.Y. Hilton's a good player, but he's hurt. Who knows what?
I mean, he's faking it, and I don't blame him.
Who knows what he'll produce the rest of the season, but yeah, I mean, the Colts, I talk about it, they're kind of like the Giants, but at least they have a great quarterback, or at least a good quarterback, where the Giants are not, they don't have that guy right now. So, cool. We have the Colts as the worst team in the NFL as of Week 6. I think we need to go to a break, Jeff, but when we come back, we will talk about the Oakland Raiders. We will talk about them, the latest rumors, what's going on there, and is there a light at the end of this tunnel?
Let's see if there's a black hole or not. We'll be right back right after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
We're back. We are back to the GSMC football podcast. We just talked about Monday Night Football between the 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. We've also talked about our top 5 best and top 5 worst teams. Now we're going to go on to a more detailed topic of one of our bottom 5 teams and the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah. I want to start off by asking you a question.
Ask away, my friend.
Have you seen the website that someone created, Is Gruden Gone Yet?
No, I'm looking this up now. What's the website called?
IsGrudenGoneYet.com. It is exactly what it is. It's a clock that's counting down the time until he will be done with his contract. Although I'm not sure if he's gonna stay a full 10. But man, we do need to talk about the mess that the Oakland Raiders are in. We need to talk about what's going on there and if it will get any better anytime soon. So, first things first, of course, we all know John Gruden. He signed the 10-year.
I just opened it. It's a big white page that just says no.
And the countdown, right?
And the countdown of his contract in years. So it's 9 years, 13 weeks, 2 days, 3 hours, 44 minutes, and 29 seconds.
Yeah.
Gruden has made $5 since you have arrived on the website. $7.7 million in total. He's still owed $92.25 million, and it's counting down.
Yeah. So
someone had him come up with all of that to make a website.
So let's talk about it. John Gruden.
I'm gonna.
We know that he's going to be there for a while.
I am going to favorite this website and bookmark it, so I still have it at all times. I'm not even a Raiders fan. I just think this is hilarious.
So let's talk about it, Jeff. Let's move on from the calculator or the clock there. Let's John Gruden. He's signed for 10 years. He's not going to be fired anytime soon. The start to his Raiders' second coaching career as a Raiders head coach has not gone as planned at all, as he is 1-5. What is your biggest takeaway that you've seen so far?
I'm sorry, I'm having a blast looking at this little website, but it seems to me that Gruden is trying to build his own. He's trying to build his own team from the ground up. He's not taking what the ownership already gave him, like to start with. He wants to build his own team from the ground up.
Okay, I see that too. So with that being said, do you see that the general manager, Reggie McKenzie, do you think he's on his way out?
Yeah. I think a lot of people are on their out the door. I think this end of the season there's going to be some cleaning house to do, and it's not going to be like for the good. It's going to be Gruden wanting new players that are his players.
So let me update you on a couple things here. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Khalil Mack, Reggie McKenzie draft pick, traded. Amari Cooper, rumored to be on the trade market, rumored that the Raiders want a first-round pick for him. Derek Carr, rumored to be also available. Who knows who will trade for him with that hefty price tag, but there are rumors that he is also available. Now, Garyon Connolly, their first-round defensive back from last year, benched. Carl Joseph, first-round defensive back from a couple years ago, benched and on the trade market.
You want to hear something? Since you've talked about every trade or every guy who's gone, John Gruden has made $20.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is Gruden is not only doing things his own way, but it seems like he is dismissing the players that the general manager has brought in from the last few drafts. So
it's like a lesson, like this is going to be my team, not yours?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a power play per se, but it is interesting. It's hard to see that this thing will get better anytime soon because now what happens when Derek Carr hears that he's also on the trade market? Now what happens in that locker room when we now hear that Amari Cooper is now on the trade market? Remember, this is a team that let Michael Crabtree go. They let Michael Crabtree go. They keep Cooper. They bring in Jordy Nelson, and now Cooper's on his way out. Like it's interesting. So, do you think that Derek Carr will be traded?
Yes, because he cried, and John Gruden does not like guys who cry.
But back on a serious note, do you think there's a team out there that would be willing to pick up that contract?
Oh, yeah.
That contract?
I forgot about the contract.
I think he still has like 4 years, $100 million.
I can see Cleveland doing it.
No.
Wait, no, with Baker
They
Mayfield.
got Baker Mayfield.
Sorry. I'm still thinking they're bad. Last year they could have. Anyways,
the New York Giants is probably the only team that I can think of. It won't be Jacksonville.
They do have a lot of contracts.
They already paid
I was
Bortles.
thinking about Jacksonville, but they already paid Bortles. You're right. Maybe Tampa?
Maybe at the end of the season. That could be a possibility.
Maybe. Well, would San Diego do it?
You mean L.A.? Again, you said San Diego.
I'm sorry. Maybe the Chargers, because Phillip Rivers is like at the end of his career, they're thinking about the future type
They
of thing.
can't, though, unless Rivers retires, Like, they can't put that much money.
Rivers might retire. If he does at the end of the season, maybe.
He ain't retiring.
I'm just saying maybe.
It's hard to see that happening. Do you think Amari Cooper will get traded, though?
Yeah, that's happening.
We have a couple weeks.
Not a first-round pick, though.
We have a couple weeks for the trade deadline. So what do you think
they're asking
they'll
for
get?
a first-round pick? I'm thinking a second is the best they'll do.
Okay. What team could you possibly see picking up Amari Cooper for a second-round pick? Let's say that's the cost.
I could honestly see like the 49ers doing it because they need a receiver.
They ain't doing it.
Why not?
Because he is in a contract year, and they're not giving up draft picks so they can get a wide receiver to help them win one more game this year.
I was thinking they would just re-sign him.
Cooper is a rental.
Well, I think they would re-sign him. I think it's more of or maybe not even that, a fifth-round conditional pick. I know that's not what they're going to get, but like a couple of conditional, late draft picks, maybe that will, just so they can have, like they did with Garoppolo. They did it. They didn't get it so they could win now. They did so they could win later.
They're not signing him, or they're not trading for him.
You know what? You can shut up. How about that?
His number jumps to $13 million next year.
Supposedly.
No, it does. It does.
Wait, I thought you said this is a contract year.
Right, because it's his option. The Raiders picked up his option. But yes, it will turn into $13 million. So it will be interesting to see what they do. Amari Cooper, any other team that you can think of? Because I don't. Plus, the Raiders don't trade with the 49ers. We already saw that with Khalil Mack. Where can Amari Cooper possibly go to? I would say maybe the Packers do it.
I was going to say maybe the Jets even do it.
That could be a possibility. I could see that happening.
Maybe. I was going to say maybe even Jacksonville tries to do that just to get a weapon for Bortles.
Jacksonville is a team that definitely could use an influx of talent at wide receiver. They have a lot of different receivers, but they don't really have one guy. Do you think Amari Cooper is a really good player, just hamstrung by the offense, maybe?
Maybe, but I guess when he goes to another team, we'll be for sure. We'll see. Like it's based off if he goes to another team and if he plays great, then yeah, it was the Raiders holding him back. If he doesn't, then maybe the Raiders were right trading him.
Mm-hmm. I think he's good. I don't think he's a number one, but I think he's a really good number two. But yeah, I'm just not sure. Do you see the marriage between Derek Carr and John Gruden lasting though?
No.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
I don't think anyone does.
Cool. So we should take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some other news and notes from the NFL. Bucks have made a change. Vontaze Burfict is in the news again. Brock Osweiler and his Chicago games, his Chicago experience, and Odell Beckham Jr. being called out. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We talked about Monday Night Football. We've talked about our best teams and worst teams. We've talked about the Oakland Raiders and their Days of Our Lives type drama. Now we're moving on to
Mike Smith fired by Tampa Bay.
That was a total good leeway to you. But yes, Mike Smith, who was the coach of the Atlanta Falcons when they made an NFC Championship appearance in 2012, now the defense, then it was the defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The opponents were averaging at least 34 points a game against his defense, which is probably why he got fired.
Yeah, I mean the Bucs defense has been
they're worst in points per game.
It's been a joke for.
Should we put in the Buccaneers in the top bottom five?
Possibly, but
they were up there.
They've won a couple games. We'll see. They play the Browns this week, so we'll see what happens with that game. But it is interesting to know that Mike Smith, he's fired the game after he plays against his former team that he was a head coach for, which I found
Illuminati.
Yeah, Dirk Cutter. He did fire Mike Smith. We will see what happens.
Probably for the best, to be honest.
Linebackers coach Mark Duffner is going to serve as the defensive coordinator now, so who knows? He's never been a defense coordinator in the NFL, so who knows what he'll bring to the table. We'll see if anything changes. I don't know if the Bucs have a whole lot of good players on defense, though. They have Jason Pierre-Paul. They have a couple decent linebackers, but I don't know. I just kind of think that they're a team that all their talent's on offense, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I mean, like Evans, Deshaun Jackson, like they even drafted a running back.
They have good offense. Their defense needs a lot of work.
Yeah, they got O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate, like all their notable players are on offense in the NFL. They don't have too many great defensive players. Another topic that I wanted to talk about is the passing of Paul Allen. Obviously, Paul Allen has done many things in his life, in his career, but he was the owner of the Seahawks and the Portland Trailblazers, so it will be interesting to see what happens with the Seahawks from here. Again, not to take away anything from his death, as our thoughts go out to him and his family at this time. It does sound like that his family will be putting the team up for sale. That was rumored to be a topic a couple weeks back. So we'll see what happens if Seattle Seahawks franchise, if their organization is sold, and who it will be sold to. But I'm sure it is an attractive franchise to own at this time, something that Paul Allen definitely brought back and made valuable as the Seahawks were a floundering franchise for some time in the NFL before he got them on the right path.
But the huge question is, who is going to buy this team? Because I think it matters who buys this team, because they'll say what direction it goes. If it stays in like a billionaire that lives in Washington, the state of Washington, then the future looks good for both teams. If it's someone outside of that place, who knows what will happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Another topic in the NFL that I think is worth mentioning is Vontaze Burfict. Another cheap shot Sunday. What is it with this guy? Like, is the NFL
dirty?
Is the NFL ever just going to suspend this guy like forever? Like,
he's been dirty since his days at Arizona State. He's a dirty player. He targets guys, and that's not right. That's you're supposed to at least have some this guy's trying not to hurt me. He's just trying to tackle me. That's different.
Yeah, his elbow to Antonio Brown's head was just. It's just
it was
over
gross.
the top.
It was gross.
It's over the top. According to Adam Schefter, the NFL is reviewing 3 plays that Burfict was involved in during the game.
3. He should be banned for maybe at least half the season. If 3 times in one game he's trying to aim for someone, that's not right.
Of those 3, the one was the elbow to Antonio Brown's head, and the other 2 were hits in the second half where he led with his helmet. I mean, if the NFL is serious about player safety, don't they just need to get this guy out of the league?
This guy, yeah, I don't know why he's in this league.
Like, why is he still getting 2, 3, 4 game suspensions? Like, at this point, he should be getting
He's
like
been
full
aiming
year.
for guys every single year. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
It's just mind-boggling to me.
Why are you playing football to hurt somebody? That's not what it's about. Yeah, you can go, oh, I'm going to knock the guy's lights out. That's playing football and hitting a guy hard like that for just one good hit and he gets back up. That's one thing. Trying to hurt the guy, make sure he's out of the game, that's disgusting. Hurting someone to get them out of a game is disgusting.
It's just mind-boggling to me how the NFL tries to take this stance that they care about player safety so much, and yet they let the dirtiest player in the NFL continue. He doesn't learn a lesson, you know?
He should not be playing in the NFL.
He hasn't learned his lesson.
He doesn't even deserve to play in the CFL.
Yeah, it's just cheap shot after cheap shot. There's one thing being physical, there's another being dirty. We know that Vontaze Burfict has crossed that line many times. He continues to do so.
He's not aggressive, he's just dirty.
I'll ask you, Jeff, at what point does the league just step in and say you're done? Or
They should have already done it.
But at what point does somebody need to get severely injured? Like, what needs to happen?
I'm scared that's going to happen, though. It's going to get to that point. I don't want someone to get seriously hurt, and this guy, that's the reason he gets suspended or banned for life. He should be already banned or at least suspended for a whole season.
The crazy thing, too, is that NFL players usually stand behind each other, like, on stuff like this. Like, they usually say, like, you know what, we're playing football. Like, if somebody gets hurt, we're just playing football. But
when players are saying ridiculous,
yeah, he needs to go. Like, they're saying he needs to go.
When other players are scared of their safety, there's something wrong there. Roger Goodell, get your head out of whatever private plane you're in and do something about this, because people are getting hurt. People's health is at risk here, and you're letting this guy on the field.
It would be a bad
Marvin
look.
Lewis should bench him. Why isn't Marvin Lewis doing anything?
It would be a bad look for the NFL if they don't suspend him for at least 6, 7, 8
Shouldn't
games.
Marvin Lewis do something? Shouldn't Marvin Lewis get involved in this?
I don't know. For me, Marvin Lewis's job is to win football games. So if it,
I'm sorry, you got to make an example and be a leader. Control your team. If a guy's got to keep doing cheap shots, I would bench him. Control your team, Marvin Lewis. How do you still have a job also? Letting this guy on the field is ridiculous.
Marvin Lewis, you can say that, but the NFL for sure has that. That's where the responsibility lies. We can say what we want about Marvin Lewis, but the NFL can anytime suspend players for conduct detrimental to the league. So at any time could they be like, okay, this guy is just hurting players.
This is detrimental to the league.
I agree.
I'm sorry I'm getting so worked up about this.
No, I agree with you. I think that you being upset or you having a take on Marvin Lewis is fine, but I think that overall it's the NFL, right? Like, it's their job. Like, it's their job to suspend him.
I just don't like the fact that this guy is continuously hurting some people for how long has he been?
Like, even when he doesn't, he's trying to.
He's been in the league for how many years?
10, 11.
He's been hurting people for that
time.
long. He's been purposely targeting.
And then he
people
gets
for that
suspended, and like nothing changes.
It's
with
a slap
the guy.
on the wrist. That's what's gross about this. It's like, you did a bad thing. Bad.
Yeah.
Now go sit in timeout.
So moving on, you had an interesting stat that you read this morning about Brock the Broctagon Osweiler.
I'm gonna walk out if you say that
Step
again.
into the Broctagon, boys. What was that stat? What was that stat, Jeff?
Do you promise you won't say Broctagon again?
I won't.
You promise.
I never promise.
You better. I won't come back. I won't say this.
So Brock Osweiler, as the quarterback of the Broncos, Texans, and Miami Dolphins. Am I right? Did I get those 3 names right? In all 3 places, he beat the Chicago Bears.
Okay, I gotta stop it.
Is that the stat?
I'm just gonna have to ignore you saying Broctagon. But anyways, every time he's had a first start for a team, he started his first start with the Denver Broncos, his first start with the Houston Texans, and his first start with the Miami Dolphins. He's beaten Chicago.
That's awesome, man. So he's the mayor of Chicago? Is that like this upcoming election he won?
He just has that city's number. He just owns their phone number.
The Broctagon. All right, sorry.
We're done. Nope.
Hey, we
Nope,
got
you're
one
done.
more. We got one more thing to talk about before we're done today. I need your help here, Jeff. Odell Beckham Jr.
You gotta promise me from here on out you're never
All
gonna say
right.
Broctagon.
I'll say it again. I'm definitely gonna say it again. I won't say this show though. Come on. I won't say Broctagon again. Okay.
Stupid. It's a stupid thing.
Tell me about Odell Beckham Jr.
Brock Lesnar makes more sense. What?
Tell me about Odell Beckham
His
Jr.
owner called him out saying he should play more and do less talking, and he's right.
You talking about the man that signed him to that extension, that wrote him that check, is telling him that he needs to be quiet even though he knows that he talks a lot?
Well, he kept talking. Like, he wouldn't stop.
But he knows what he's doing when he signed him, right?
I guess, but he's
Odell acting any differently than before?
he's not playing to a certain level anymore. He's playing actually at a poor level. Maybe that's why. He's sick of the
Odell's
talking.
playing fine.
Well, he's probably sick of the talking.
He can't catch the ball if it's not thrown accurately to him in an advantageous position. They can't pass him the football, Jeff. How is it his fault? They can't block and they can't throw.
Well, no.
Does
How
he do
about
those
maybe
things?
you shouldn't bash your quarterback? I know his quarterback's not playing well. Granted,
In
but
fact, Odell
you-
might be a better quarterback than Eli. You saw him throw a touchdown pass.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is maybe, just maybe, bashing your quarterback leads to tension off the field, which leads to more dysfunction on the field. It doesn't help anybody.
$65 million guaranteed to Odell Beckham. You think he cares about running his mouth?
What do you mean cares? Like he cares what people think, or
He
cares
got
what-
paid. If anyone thought that he was going to change after getting this money, he was going to be on his best behavior, they thought wrong. And you know that was a silly thing to think about, wouldn't you say?
I agree with that. Yeah, but like when your owner says
That's like giving Vontaze Burfict a $50 million guaranteed contract.
when your owner says stop talking, I think I would listen to him because he's the one that's signing my paycheck.
But you're getting paid.
I know, but still,
Regardless, you can be as much of a jerk as you want, right?
I just think it's like you should maybe not bash
You're talking about ethics.
ethics and like you're putting tension in your team. You're causing dysfunction to your team when you're bashing another player like that.
I agree with that.
That doesn't lead to good things.
I'm not saying I agree with Odell Beckham. I'm just saying that I think that it's crazy if anybody thought things were going to change. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anything else you would like to add for news and notes around the NFL or college football or Canadian football?
Oh, well,
we
actually-
haven't talked about Canadian football.
There's a reason.
Johnny football?
I haven't heard a thing from him since his first start when he threw picks. Well, that's already talked about. No one
Has
is.
anybody signed Dez Bryant?
No one is. No one has. But no one is here to listen to the CFL. I'm sorry, every Grey Cup and
What
Canadian
about
football
those
fan.
Stampeders and those...
We're done with that.
The Grey Cup.
Okay, can I finish what I was about to say?
Yes, sir.
Nick Bosa won't return for the Ohio State Buckeyes. The prospect will focus on the NFL draft instead of returning from core injury.
Top 5 pick.
For number 2 Iowa State. This is from the Dispatch.
Ohio State.
What'd I say?
Iowa.
Oh, Ohio
It's all
State.
right.
It's the same.
Slip of the tongue.
Yeah, Ohio State. But yeah, he's not returning to the Ohio State
Good for
team,
him.
and he's focusing on his potential draft pick, which might be in the top.
Do you
top
know that
3.
he's Joey Bosa's brother?
They have the same name, so I'm assuming.
Well, they are. Yeah, he's going to be a top 5 pick, I think. I think he'll be a pass rusher that teams will try and get, just like his brother, Joey. So, interesting.
Well, he's projected to be a top pick.
Yeah, he will. He will be one of the top picks. I can attest to that. Cool. So, I think we are done.
Have you talked to the owners?
I know people in the league.
Okay. Anyways,
Are we done here, Jeff?
I think that's all the time we have for today. Stick us in. We'll tune in to us
Thursday.
We'll be back on Thursday. Yes, we'll talk more about football.
Thursday Night Football.
Yep, we will, and we will see you on Thursday.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.